Today I want to give some advice to aspiring content creators, specifically those content creators who want to create content for this game. Hello, I am Xarkun and this is World of Warships Legends. Well, I suppose it's not really World of Warships Legends. I mean, it is. There will be some sort of World of Warships Legends match or two playing in the background. But I'm not recording this commentary or this audio while watching that video, unlike all of my other projects revolving around this game. This is something different. This is more like a podcast, but this is what this kind of video, I guess, calls for. And I wanted to segue into starting off with the first piece of advice I want to give by saying I've noticed the views on my videos recently are a bit down, and I'm not entirely sure why that is. I have some ideas, but that's beyond the scope of this video. In any case, my views do tend to fluctuate, but typically 1,000 or so views per video has been the baseline for quite some time now. Although, over the past several days or week or so, some of my videos haven't even been hitting that number. Now, if anybody has any theories or suggestions for improvement or anything like that, feel free to leave them in the comment section, but that's not the point here. The point here is I make these videos because I enjoy the process of making these videos. If I didn't enjoy that process, and if I didn't feel satisfaction at the end of that process, or if I didn't enjoy doing the process of creating videos as an end in itself, regardless of the number of views I get on a particular video, I don't think I would have ever gotten this far, and I don't think I would have been able to grow this project, my channel, which started quite literally from absolutely nothing to what it's become today. So that is my first piece of advice. And also, I would say the most important piece of advice that I have to offer, which is if you want to create content, specifically YouTube content, but I suppose this applies to anything else, any other kind of content, then you have to enjoy the process of content creation as an end in itself, regardless of whether you want or expect any external rewards for it, i.e., views on videos or revenue from ads or monetization or anything of that kind, fame, fortune, glory, whatever. I don't think you're setting yourself up for success in the realm of content creation if you go into it with something other than your primary goal being that you want to engage in the process of content creation as an end in itself. And that is probably the first and most important at the same time piece of advice I have for aspiring content creators. Then my second piece of advice is to engage in that process consistently. Now, I don't think I'm any kind of paragon of consistency. My video uploads are kind of sporadic, I suppose, in comparison to how other more professional operations go about it. I have a loose goal for myself where I try to put out 4 commentary videos and 1 stream in the span of every 7 days, Sunday through Saturday, essentially. And the days on which I post no content at all frequently change. It depends on what's going on in my life, essentially. This is, after all, just a hobby at this point. I do have a day job that I have to go to all the time. I've got other life stuff and social obligations and all that kind of stuff. So, this content creation process does take time, and you have to find a way to fit it into your life, make a habit out of it, and then do it consistently. Now, you don't have to do it as often as I do. You don't need to post 4 videos and do one stream every week. You can do 1 video per week. You could even do 1 video per month. But if you're going to do that, then, my videos are quite easy to make, I suppose you could say. They don't require a lot of editing or technical effort at all. I just do commentary over gameplay for the most part. Now, sometimes they do require a bit of editing, and those are often more fun and challenging to make, and sometimes I go into that a little bit more in depth if I've got the time or desire to do it, such as with the Naval Boot Camp series, the first 2 videos of which took me probably 8 or 9 hours one day to make. It was very time consuming. It's probably the most time I've ever spent on anything, because I was trying to figure out a good format for it and edit it all together in a way that wasn't too long-winded and also presented, what I thought was good information. Doing commentary over gameplay is pretty quick, pretty easy, doesn't really take all that long or all that much effort, and therefore I can post a fairly prolific amount of content. But if you're doing something that requires more editing, like you're doing a bunch of meme videos, as is popular on this platform and within World of Warships Legends community, then maybe you don't need to post a video every day. Maybe you can do it every week or every 2 weeks, even every month. You just have to do it consistently, and you do have to maintain some level of quality. So that's the second piece of advice. I suppose it's pretty much tied directly to the first one. Enjoy the process of content creation and do the process of content creation consistently. Make it a routine. So those are the 2 number 1 pieces of advice. Some other corollary advice that maybe isn't as fundamental is, well, I suppose this is pretty fundamental too. Whenever you're going to pick a subject, in this case, World of Warships Legends, you need to know something about that subject. You don't necessarily need to be an expert. You don't need to commit every stat to memory. You don't even need to be a super unicum. You just have to know something about the game, and you have to present that thing honestly. Or you have to know something about, I suppose, the creation of more, call them artsy type of content, I guess. The meme videos and such. You have to have a good sense for memes and comedy and all that kind of thing. And you probably do have to be fairly competent at the game to acquire meme-worthy footage for it and all that kind of thing. Basically, you have to get proficient with your subject matter. You have to do research. You have to, I guess in the case of a video game, you have to play it. You have to get fairly good at it. You have to get decent anyway. And that is the other piece of advice. So, to recap so far, we've got enjoy the process of content creation, be consistent in that process, and know something about your subject matter. I think these are probably the most fundamental pieces of advice for anybody aspiring to make content for this game or content about any other subject matter, video games, movies, books, whatever it may be. Honestly, it might all even be applicable to any kind of content that isn't based around, video games or anything else. It could be if you're writing a novel or a screenplay or trying to make a film or anything like that, you'd still have to enjoy the process. You'd still have to be consistent at it, or make it a routine, or do something in order to actually finish your projects. That's one of the main benefits of doing it consistently. And you would still have to do research of some kind into your subject matter, or you would have to create that subject matter the way, fiction writers create different worlds and characters and all that kind of thing. So I suppose all of that really applies to any kind of content creation and can be taken generally. The next thing I want to say, and we're transitioning more into, I suppose, more miscellaneous pieces of advice, not really connected to the main crux of my theory of what makes a successful content creator, but more miscellaneous stuff not related to any of that more fundamental philosophical stuff, more concrete things. And honestly, now that I think about it, there's really only one thing left to talk about, one concrete thing left to discuss when it comes to creating content, and that is the tools that you use to create the content. Now, this is mostly just going to apply to YouTube videos, but you don't need any fancy tools to create them, really, especially for this game. I think it works best if you have a PlayStation for this game, because the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 are both fantastic when it comes to creating video content about the video games that you play on those systems. The PlayStation 5, for example, has the ability built right into the console to capture up to 60 minutes of footage of gameplay in 1080p at 30 or 60 frames per second. So basically, I just capture all the content using the native features of the PlayStation 5. And then as far as editing goes, well, if you're doing something like I'm doing, you don't really need fancy software for it. There are two pieces of software that I suppose I could recommend to you. The first comes on the PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation 4 if you have that system, and that is the Share Factory app, which is honestly a fairly robust video editor. It is on the console, so you do all your editing on the console, and it works very well for the kind of thing I do and the kind of thing other people like to do, which is commentary over gameplay. It can even be used to create montages and meme videos too, if you get into the finer details and workings of the program itself. It's not all that difficult. And then there is something called DaVinci Resolve, which is a free video editing program, like a professional grade one, that is fairly complicated to use. But of course, you can figure out how to use it by, looking on the internet, basically. And then I also use an audio recording software called Audacity to capture this narration, which is how I'm talking to you right now. And I talk through a blue snowball microphone to do it. I think if you are going to do anything involving your voice, you do need at least a good microphone. It doesn't necessarily need to be super professional quality, and I don't really think the blue snowball is super professional quality, but it's very good quality. And basically that's what you need. So I think those are the most important pieces of advice that I have for anybody who aspires to create content. Again, TLDR at the end here. Enjoy the process of creating content as an end in itself. Do it consistently, and know something about the subject matter on which you're creating content. And then also figure out what tools work best for you to create that content. And that's really not all that hard. That's what you need to do if you want to set yourself up for success. And that is also basically the story of how I got to where I am today. And of course, where I am today is made possible by your support. So thank you for your support. But that's all I have to say. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.